everyone. This is Stock Breakthroughs at TFNFinancialNews.com. I'm your host, Sandy Franks. It would not be impolite for me to use the word desperate when talking about big pharmaceutical companies. Here's why. By the end of this decade, hundreds of drug patents will expire. That means most big pharma companies are going to lose the revenue streams they've relied on from their highly coveted cash cows or drug treatments. And to compound the problem, the number of new treatments coming to the market on the heels of these patents expiring is limited. That leaves Big Pharma with a big problem. Where's the money coming from? My next guest has figured out their strategy for solving this problem and is here to share it with us. Please welcome Christoph Allenberger, President and founder of TFN Financial News and editor of TFN, the company's flagship publication. Now, Christoph, you figured out what Big Pharma is up to. Can you share that strategy with us?
Well, Big Pharma is in a cash crunch, or is facing a cash crunch in the near future. It has several causes. Number one, back in 1997, when the restrictions on advertising drugs on television and radio were lowered, it opened up a door to really a storage house of pure money, where pharma companies could tout custom-tailored drug for custom-tailored symptoms to the largest possible audience, creating a stream of easy money that absorbed most of their attention. They fell way short on focusing on new research, focusing on the easy money instead, and are now faced with a declining product line of new products, with a sustainable shelf life that would generate enough revenues for the next decade. So what are the companies doing? They're doing what all companies are doing that are flush with cash right now. They're trying to expand, but they're not expanding internally, but by mergers and acquisitions.
Okay, so they're going after the biotechs, the smaller companies.
They're going for smaller biotech companies with an independent research line. Some have products in the pipeline, some in approval. Some have concepts for products that may not come to fruition for about 10 years or 20 years in some cases. But what they're focusing on right now is establishing either relationships with these smaller biotechs or buying them out outright, and with it their patents and their future cash flow.
Now, I know you're just getting started into the research in this, but can you give us any idea of the kind of treatments that these biotechs are working on that Big Pharma is so interested in?
Well, they're interested in everything right now. The new treatments are ranging from anything pancreatic cancer, renal cancer, all kinds of cancer. It is genetic defects, genetic dysfunctions that cause certain syndromes and diseases. There are antisense drug lines now. Name the illness, name the symptom, and you have someone working on a cure for it.
Okay, let me ask you this question, Christoph. If these small biotech companies get their FDA approval, not only will the share price rise, but the value of the company itself, that probably would make them worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Wouldn't a buyout be awful expensive for Big Pharma?
Well, remember that the buyout will be expensive, and some companies like Chiron, for example, which was bought up recently, was able to hold out for a 25% premium over the actually current stock price that they were trading at the point of negotiations. But for Big Pharma, it is you buy, you grow, or you shrivel away, and this is really, they really have no alternative to the mergers and acquisition strategy, whatever the cost may be.
Now, I read a statistic that 40% of the revenues from Big Pharma come from outside sources, particularly these small biotechs. And we've touched upon this a little bit earlier, but do you think this trend is going to continue? Is Big Pharma going to get back into research and development, or are they going to continue to buy up biotechs?
Well, I think it's a short-term solution to buy out biotechs. Nothing really replaces the internal research and development. And even if they incorporate that new company into the old structure, it automatically gives a boost to the internal research department and development department. I do think it's a short-term solution, and the research is expensive. It has no guarantees of success, and in our litigious legal environment and the expectation of the market to be delivered drugs that have no side effects at all, not even potential side effects, will take a long-term bite out of pharma profits, but I believe there is no alternative to the strategy and to reinvesting in research.
Now, it sounds like big drug companies have lost touch with the market. The Economist recently estimated that American drug advertising hit $4.5 billion in 2006. That's up from $1.1 billion in 1997. And on top of that, overall advertising budget soared more than 300% in the last decade, while research and development spending has only grown like 70%. Now, is buying up biotechs a necessary business strategy for Big Pharma? In other words, can they survive without this strategy?
No, they cannot survive.
So if they don't have this, that's it for them.
Well, they can carry on, let's put it this way, but not survive as a profitable company.
Now,
they will turn into the American automobile industry.
Now, generally, when we talk about biotechs, one has to be concerned with the success rate of biotechs, because we know not everybody is successful. In fact, according to data analyzed from Pharma Projects and its sister publication, R&D Times, biotechs have one of the lowest success rates of any area of pharmaceutical research and development. Now, are you suggesting that because Big Pharma is behind these biotechs, the risk is reduced?
The risk may be reduced because obviously of the improved distribution channels, the infrastructure that a big pharma company can provide to a small biotech and small pharma startup or a small company to penetrate and permeate a market. That does not necessarily alleviate the 50-50 chance or less that they have to really create a blockbuster drug with anything that they're doing.
So just because Big Pharma is coming in and injecting the biotechs with a lot of cash doesn't necessarily mean it ups the success rate?
It doesn't up the success rate for a particular drug necessarily, but it sure is like a small movie project like the 300, for example, being put on the screen by a major distribution company. It still is a crapshoot if they will land a blockbuster, but the chances are better if there's money behind it.
Any idea how much money an investor could make investing in the biotechs with this cash being infused from the big pharmas?
Well, there's the long-term and the short-term projections. I mean, if we're looking back over last year, a number of companies that ended up being bought by major pharma companies saw virtual overnight increases in stock price of 43, 54, even 90% virtually overnight after the announcement of the buyout or even of the partnership became public. So there is a huge short-term factor that can create substantial profits for investors who are in that small company right before or at the point of the announcement.
So let's just summarize here for our viewers. We've got Big Pharma injecting biotechs with a lot of cash, and they're using that almost as an extension of their research and development. These biotechs are developing the drugs and putting them through FDA to get the approval. So this is a good time now for investors to get involved because this trend is going to continue?
I think the trend definitely will continue, and I think if you select the right companies, the right small pharma companies, this is going to be a great investment in most cases.
Now, I know I mentioned earlier you're just getting the research started, but eventually you'll have a report available and it'll have some more details on the companies. Is that correct, Christoph?
Yes, we have several of our analysts and editors are working on the report right now. We hope to have it together and ready for internal review probably within the next 10 days.
Well, I think it sounds like you're going to have some good information. I think this is a unique situation, and it's a good time for investors to get involved. So thank you for sharing this with us, Christoph.
Oh, sure, anytime.
You're welcome to get a copy of the report at taipanfinancialnews.com, and you can also sign up for Christoph's free daily e-letter, Dynamic Market Alert. That ends this segment of Stock Breakthroughs. I'll see you again here next week. Until then, here's wishing you a world of profits. Bye.